host. I guess that's my title, guys. I don't know. Uh, or your highness or something. I don't know. I can be, yeah. Anyway, I'm here with Carrie and Dave. How you doing, Carrie?
We're frozen, so I don't know what's going on.
We're frozen. It was,
Yeah, we're not.
hold on. Let me
We could still be live, so don't make funny faces
yeah,
and that.
we're live. We're live.
It's just not showing up.
Mine's showing live.
Okay.
Um anyway, so Carrie, how you doing?
I'm better than last week, but
Good.
still a long road to go.
Good. That's good to hear. Dave, how are you doing over in Scotland?
Yeah, doing great. Weather's been a beautiful weekend. Really hot weather. Isolation season. All the camper vans are flooding the roads. It's just great.
Well, good. That's good to hear. Yeah, it's been kind of cloudy and stuff here, and nothing really has changed. Still waiting for better weather, warmer weather, I guess, on this side. So tonight, guys, we did a live broadcast about photos and stuff, and last week, and we never really kind of got through the ones we wanted to. We realized, so this is part two of that broadcast, and um, so just to start off, maybe I thought it might be good if we um, went through like what your guys' thoughts were. Carrie wasn't with us last week. Well, Carrie was with us last week for
So sorry about that.
about 4 or 5 minutes. But so I'd like to get your guys' thoughts on photos and the paranormal. Where do they stand in the paranormal? Um, your thoughts on uh, how they should be used or what it really means if you capture something. And Dave will go with you first, then we'll ask Carrie. So just summarize how you feel about them.
Yeah. I don't know if you could ever convince anyone really, because you can fake video, you can fake photos, especially the new digital photos. So yeah, I think it's something which no matter how much, I think really it's just and you look at the motives of the individual. Hi, Bob.
Okay, hi Bob. That's what I was
Hi,
waiting.
Bob.
You look at the motives of the individual, why they've taken it, why have they taken it at that specific location? It would just be a crap photograph otherwise, but so there's lots of things you got to weigh up, Cordell. But my view is, unless like I've personally taken it, then I would believe it. But then it's not to say it's not a malfunction or a glitch, yeah, So it is a tough one. Photographs, very tough.
Yep. Good job, Dave. Carrie, to summarize your perception of photos and the paranormal, where they fit.
Well, I agree with Dave. If I take it, then I'm a little more like believing it or trust you and Dave if you take it. But I find it very difficult to base anything off of a photo that somebody took where you don't know any of the information about the place or why even the person has taken the photo. So I think it just leaves a lot out. I don't think it's anything you'd ever be able to present as solid evidence. And simply because I just don't. I think it'd be very hard to try to convince people that these pictures or whatever are true, legit pictures, because a lot of it's matrixing and just what people want to see. So,
Thank you, Carrie. Very good. Yeah, in my view, it's I'm torn on photos. I love photos. I'm
take
fascinated.
them.
Well, yeah, I'm fascinated with them, and you have to document the area, and something shows up in one. My only thing is in today's modern digital world where everything's digitized and it's so easy to even fake videos now, um and everything. Once something's digitized, it can be manipulated by anybody,
Yeah.
and fairly convincing sometimes, and that's the problem. And so I don't, I struggle with them. I'm like you guys though, that within Pulse, our group, we've taken a lot of photos that we have labeled unknown or possibly paranormal, or just really bizarre, strange things that we can't explain. Um, and that's fine. We use it within Pulse about an area along with all the other evidence and everything. And I think that's legit. And we can analyze a location using photos. Um, but presenting it to the world and saying, hey guys, here's an apparition to the world, you should believe. I think those days were, I don't know if those days were ever there, really, because photos have been manipulated since day one, right? Since photography came into existence.
That's
So
just me sending a photo.
sending a photo.
Yeah.
So there's my take on it. I think within a group, if any paranormal group out there, if you take photos and you capture something, I think you can definitely 100% utilize it and evaluate the location with the photo being part of that evaluation. Um, but outside of your group of photo, then all bets are off, I think, because of how easily things are manipulated. Go ahead, Dave. It sounds like you're ready to say something.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
my hand up.
Oh, I've had my head sharpened.
you've had a haircut.
Yeah, I finally had a haircut. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my third haircut in 15 months. That's it.
Well, I think it's important, Cordell, Carrie, that we never take photographs for anyone else, right? So we couldn't really care what the community thinks. We couldn't care what anybody thinks other than us, So I think that's probably fair. We've never, anything we've taken, we've just shared it amongst ourselves, because really I think that's where this search or this investigative search for whatever, the truth or whatever, that's where really it lies with us. It doesn't lie within the mainstream media. So I think it's good enough. If we take the photograph and we believe it, that's good enough for me.
Well, again, yeah, I think in today's world of everything being digitized and therefore open to manipulation, I think you have to use it within your group. I don't think you can present anything saying, "Hey, here's an apparition we took last week." I mean, groups do and people do, and probably 80% of them are fake or are misinterpreted photos, etc. But that's just my opinion. So let's bring up the first photo. Oh, go ahead, Carrie. Yeah, go ahead.
I've been doing this for a while.
Oh.
For photos, I think that in your team you do need to take them because it's important that you can try to debunk them. So it can be used as a teaching skill for your team. You definitely want to be taking photos of your equipment. But yeah, as Dave said, Dave catches a photo facing north. I catch a photo facing south. So compare the photos between investigators. Either you're going to debunk it or it's going to give you a little more information and go forth with it. But yeah, not for mainstream media.
Okay, well, good conversation there. That's a good way to start this. So I have a queued. This is a pulse photo, one that actually I took at a location in Utah, and I'll bring it up and let's discuss it real quick. And both of you have already seen this one, and I'll go full screen. So let's start off. Carrie, what's your thoughts on this one? You've seen it before.
It looks like a man, but the weird thing about it is it looks like it has like boots, like hiking boots maybe, and then It looks more modern to me the more I look at it, because it looked like has a white t-shirt carrying something. I see like shorts, white t-shirt, arm out, holding something, and that. So, but get rid of that. I see a human figure.
Dave, what's your thought? Oh, I want to say that that is snow out there. By the way, it was fairly cold there. Anyway, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, it's an interesting photograph. That through the kind of pareidolia, you would see a figure, wouldn't you? You got the legs, the boots, or the shoes. Yeah, but it does seem to like the cross across its chest, or the line across its chest aligns with the other line.
Shadow.
That's an interesting foot. I mean, yeah. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I can see what you're trying to present there. No, absolutely. There's a head. You can kind of, I think your brain kind of puts a shape to it, doesn't it? You know.
The top half, definitely.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I was there was nobody else there at that time
Right.
the photo was taken, so it's definitely not somebody walking in. Plus, uh, nobody was dressed quite like that. It is kind of weird because it's a weird photo. And again, guys, I don't think we'd ever claim that, oh, this is paranormal, caught an apparition. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And, Cordell, when you first showed this picture to me, what stood out were what looked like legs. The upper part didn't even register to me, really. It was just like you caught, half a body, the legs, because we've all seen it before. But then when you start looking at the picture more, it's like Dave does. It does look like, you're filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, half the picture is really intriguing. The other one is, I think, the mind. But yeah, the first time I saw it, we were looking at just these legs, like a half a body.
Yeah, and this second photo, just for everybody, I just upped the contrast and I turned it to black and white to hopefully bring out a little more detail. And I don't know if you noticed, but what I find is strange. There seems to be a shadow,
Yeah.
um, which I think is kind of interesting. The other thing is what bothered me about the photo. You see this? There's like this dark line against the wall.
Yeah, seeing the dark. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
And it coincides with the.
But it's a little darker and a tad bigger, so it kind of does look like it's a little closer.
And
so
if you go ahead,
so in terms of the shadow, are you seeing the shadow? What I'm seeing? Can you just want to point that shadow out?
Oh, this
look
down
at the
here.
legs. Oh, down there.
It is there because that's something to the left, isn't it? As well. Which
go ahead.
Which is the wrong place for the lighting, which is weird.
And the other thing is right here.
Okay.
The radiator's kind of blurred out right through this section here.
Ah, that's a radiator.
Yeah,
okay.
That looks like a bottom of a white t-shirt to me. If we were going to say, let's assign this, to me, it would look like a white t-shirt.
Yeah. Hey, Bob.
Actually, if you look at it kind of like that as it is now in the corner, you can see it a lot more clearly than you can when it's blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like, because in this type of lighting, the resolution isn't really high. And I think this camera only does like 10 megabit or something, far as resolution anyway, in good lighting. So you get, when it's blown up, you get some pixelization. Go ahead, Carrie.
But how many times you see people take a picture like this, or not as good as this, and go, and we definitely caught. They use it as a true a picture of a spirit or a ghost, and then they go give it as evidence or paste it all over, the internet and stuff like that. Photos like this, anybody sees this photo, if you're in the paranormal field, should be wanting to try to break that apart, honestly and fairly.
Yeah, and I want people to pay attention to the dates. This photo was taken in 2019. We first showed it on Facebook about 6 months ago. We've never we've never published it anywhere else. We didn't, in 2019 when we got this, we didn't post it out there going, "Hey, look what we caught," because we don't do that. And I'm not putting other groups down. If you do that, I'm just pointing out the fact that, again, if we didn't, this isn't a creation or anything, and we didn't just go out there and publish it and go, "Hey, we caught an apparition, woo, great for us." And we've labeled it as an unknown. It looks like a person, it's transparent. I was the only one in there at the time. I don't know where it came from, or I, I all I can say, guys, I label it as an unknown.
Yeah, but if you were to show that picture to another investigator and everything, you would expect and want them to try to debunk it. And I think that's something that some groups don't have.
Well, and I've done that, and I think everybody has to do that, and the person that took the photo has to reevaluate it also. I mean, these are definitely looks like legs and shoes, but it almost doesn't look natural the way they're I don't know, the way they're positioned. It looks strange.
Every time I see the picture, I'm seeing something a little different. So
okay, well, I have another one. This one Carrie took at the EH. We call it the EH. And it's another location. And again, just for the audience, whoever listens to this, we're not trying to hide a location. It's just we have confidentiality forms, and if we say we can't tell you the location, it's not because, oh, we're afraid you're going to steal the location. It's because the client or the owner does not want it published, or us to use the name and the location. So that happens to be, I just want to let everybody know that. Okay, this next one, let me see, is a little different. Now, you probably, and I'm going to let Carrie talk about this one. And I'm going to go. Now, this one's a little more difficult. It's one of those ones that there definitely could be something there, but it's not as straightforward as like the last one where you can go, oh, well, those are two legs and all this. This one, I most people probably would have bypassed this, Carrie. They wouldn't even have noticed it, right? A lot of people would have looked through their camera roll and just kept going and didn't see anything. Now, Carrie saw something that didn't quite match because we're really familiar with this location, right? And it's almost like we know we've taken so many photos and video. It's like we know every nook and cranny. So Carrie, because of that, saw something a little strange. Now go ahead and take it away, Carrie.
yeah, I was in the hallway and it kept feeling like somebody at the door at the end is a little makeshift bathroom. And it just kept feeling like somebody was there and we were hearing noises. So I was just taking pictures, just random pictures. And when I started going through them, I see this. The photo before, there's nothing. The photo after, there's nothing. There's just this. So I took it down to show Cordell and asked him what he saw. And he was in agreement with me. It looks almost like a man standing sideways, and then Cordell, you fiddled with it to change the contrast and
It's always fiddling.
everything. Yeah.
Hey, no, wait a
And
minute.
it's clear with the contrast change. It looks like someone's standing there.
Which I'll show here in just a second, but I need to say I'm a great fiddler. I've been fiddling since I was about 8 years old.
My
So,
ears. Oh,
so
these young people.
I want that to be known. I am good at fiddling. So anyway, let me I have with the contrast. So let me
But it's just, I mean, if you look at it, it can look like somebody standing sideways, but then you look at it and it's like, wow, the whole, measurement and stuff is off. It could sometimes from this it looks like someone bending over.
So Dave, let's get Dave Carey, because Dave, you haven't really, I don't even know if you've seen this one, and if you did, it was probably a long time ago. What's your first take on this? Let's hear what you have to say, Dave.
Yeah, I couldn't see anything, to be honest, at first, until you pointed it. Do you have that kind of in black and white?
No, I don't. I didn't
All right.
invert it or anything.
See, there's somebody with a big belly standing sideways.
No,
but I know for fact there was nobody standing there because I had been in that hallway the whole time.
I mean, it's an interesting it's an interesting place, isn't it? There's lots of nooks and crannies, lots of shadows. I mean, it is a really interesting place.
Now, I do want to point out one thing. See this?
That's the tile.
You guys can see my mouse, right?
Yeah.
Well, this part of the wall is kind of torn up, and you can actually see that. But this, and Carrie, when we went back, Carrie took more photos. I took some photos.
Right.
I could never get this shape to appear. I don't think Carrie could either. So
side view of Hitchcock.
Well, yeah, it's like Alfred Hitchcock or some weird, I don't know. So here's my question to you guys: that if we were to pretend 100% this is paranormal, because the shape is really weird. Does the shape bother you? That it isn't like it does look bizarre because it's got like this big belly, short arms, this kind of a head, and like Carrie said, some people might see it bending over. So does this bother you that it isn't like clear cut and well defined? If we say it's paranormal, if we were to say that, does it bother you, the shape of it? And Carrie, you go first and see what Bob has to say.
The shape of it, see, for each time I'm seeing it, I'm seeing a different way of looking at it. The way I'm looking at it now is almost as if someone's leaning over, and what looks like the big belly is actually their butt and their back, and then an arm, almost as if someone's leaning over. So I'm seeing different things from it. If you look and see what looks like someone standing there with their arms on their hips or whatever, the shape is very bizarre. I mean, who has a head that's like that? Or it just would really make me question, and I think questioning it is better than just saying, oh, it's definitely there, I caught something, so you guys all need to agree with me. But no, I'm seeing different things each time.
So Dave, let's hear your because you're kind of new to this photograph, and again, this is classified as a Pulse photo because a Pulse member took it, i.e. Carrie. What's your quick analysis of it?
Yeah. I mean, it could be shadow play, it could be like you're in a corridor, reflections and shadows and things like that. It was That must have been sunshine shining through that way, was it?
No, coming towards me.
The sunshine was
at
shining.
here, so it was
Right.
coming towards me. We
Yeah.
did all that. We went in and did closed doors, did everything, and we couldn't even get our shadow to show up there.
No, was that a full spectrum photo? Or was that a normal photo?
Normal.
Yeah, no, hey, it's interesting. I mean, if you look at the things that we've sometimes seen, and we'll get to it, you know, it's like a little alien grey, isn't it? With a big belly.
Yeah, it's interesting. And Dave, for reference, this is the second floor, and it's
Yeah, I know. I know what that is. I mean, heck,
yeah.
I mean, if that was you know, if that was a photograph of me after lockdown, I'd probably look similar to that.
Well, that's the thing is we did have investigators go stand there and take pictures of them to compare size and everything, and nothing remotely came close to
Just a head.
matching
Just a
that.
head, isn't it? You know?
Yeah. So, but it's an unknown. So.
Yeah. And you know, my take on it, if I were to say, okay, it is 100% paranormal, there was something there, I'd still would be left with what the hell was it? Was that a man, a woman? What kind of, because it's unfortunately a lot of these photos are like that, right? Where it's hard to tell am I looking at a female, a male, a child? What are we actually seeing, if it really is an apparition of some sort? Because it's kind of ambiguous, other than, okay, Carrie caught Alfred Hitchcock. He's still he's still kicking around. But anyway, let's get some final words on this picture.
Actually, it is interesting that we did the atrium, or whatever we want to call it, where we have seen many shadows in that area, haven't we?
Yeah,
and male voices in that area too.
Yeah.
And so let me throw this out to you. What if Carrie actually caught one of those shadows, and because of the light and everything, it turned out lighter instead of darker? I'm just throwing that out. But what's your final thoughts on that one, Carrie?
It's an unknown. I do know now that every time we go back, just in that area, make sure you're taking pictures. You know, if you could catch something similar to it in the same place, that's great. But I think everybody's been taking pictures in that area, and nothing else has ever shown up like that. So it's an unknown. I don't know. I think it's a great way to open your mind and think and how you should approach it and also use it, but it's just an unknown.
I would agree. I agree with both of you. And I'm again, I love photos, even though I know there isn't ever going to be a photo that 100% proves the existence of anything. I don't care if it's a ghost or Bigfoot or aliens. There's not going to be one single photo that just goes, oh, yep, we did it. We're done now. Photos aren't going to do it, right, guys?
No, but people are doing it.
Yeah. Now, guys, we're jumping right into one of the most fascinating photos I've ever seen in my life. And because I know the source, because we're speaking to the part of the source, that's Dave. This photo I am just amazed at. I'm fascinated with. And it's creepy looking. It's also / can be scary looking depending on your view. And you ready for this, guys? This one?
Yeah.
And I blocked out the face of the child, and that's because this is the internet. So, but I'm going to blow this up and then I'll zoom in. Now I have about, oh, 6 of these that are manipulated, more contrast, inverted, all kinds of different things. So, but this is the original photograph. And I'm going to let Dave take over how this photograph came to be and how you discovered it, Dave.
Yeah, it's that's my daughter. Obviously, she's got tattoos there on her forearms, and she's dressed as Ariel, which is always a good combination. She my wife took the photograph. I was at work, and to be honest, we never looked at it because it's digital. You just put it into a folder, and it was only really when I was in the States. It was a couple of years later that I was going through it and I found it. And I thought, what the heck is that? Something in the doorway, and that was our master bedroom. And at nights we used to hear something walking across this floor, and we heard that it was a strange house. We heard screams, like this horrific scream came from inside the house once. We couldn't trace the source. But yeah, it was a really interesting house. But yeah, hadn't even realized it, hadn't even. And so obviously we'd sold the property and left before we even knew that this photograph existed.
Dave, and I do want to mention this photograph was taken in Scotland.
Yeah.
So just an FYI. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to point out that it's what we're looking at is this right back here, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit. At least attempt to here with this rudimentary photo viewer. Let me zoom. I'm zoomed in all the way with this photo viewer. So let me go full screen. So Carrie, what's your thoughts about this?
The first time I saw it, I was just, oh, it's a banshee. I don't know why I thought it was a banshee. I don't know, because I start seeing a little more and a little differently each time I'm looking at it. I wouldn't even begin to state anything because I don't have enough information. That's to be truthful there, but
and so go ahead, Carrie.
It looks like it's hooded or something, but when you go back, there's a similar shape on the door. So I don't know.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I was like amazed and really intrigued. And my first reaction was, is this like some creepy monk or something? So what I did is and I'm going to show them here in just a second, Dave and Carrie, and the audience. But I also, here's some of the things I noticed. Like, here's a chair. It looks like a normal size kitchen chair. See this wallpaper running here? This, I forgot what they call it on the walls. But it's a little taller than a chair. And if you follow that through, whatever this thing is, it's not very tall. It's actually, now, I guess since it's not very tall, it could be Dave hiding in a cape, I guess. But if you look here, this looks like the door latch. Right here.
Yeah.
Which, now I challenge anybody, go to, now obviously latches can vary, it can be, but they don't vary by a foot or two on home doors. So whatever this thing is, it seems to be under, I estimated guys, that this was under probably definitely under 5 feet tall, whatever it is. And let me let me bring up another one. I got to unzoom here. Let's now this one. This one gets a little more detailed. I did a lot of contrast and I ran some filters over it. That looks a little. Carrie, what's your opinion?
It looks like someone that's cloaked, standing there with a white face, but
Oh,
and yeah, I'm distracted by the black face that Cordell did there. Looks like
oh, no.
looks like a wig in front of her face. You know, now I'm looking at it, it almost looks like two people with their heads joined at the top, like putting their head together to think. I don't know, I'm seeing so many different things now. But when you play with the contrast and stuff like that, aren't you just changing a bit of what the information is?
Well, I brightened it up. I tried to sharpen it a little bit on this one, and I added a filter, and I can't remember what the filter I added on this photo because this was what, over 2 years ago, Dave? 3 years ago? 4? I can't even remember now.
This was taken. We left in 2011. This must have been like 2009, 2010, something like that.
And now what's weird is I thought this was a hood, but the more I did this looks like hair. It's like black hair.
It
I
looks
can
like
almost make out lips.
I
it looks
see
like
now. I think that's where light has broken through. It's, you know, that's Dave's going to be the one to know because he was there. But I don't know. Hi, Lisa.
2011.
that was Lisa, 2011. Okay, thanks, Lisa. It's
Oh,
like
and hi, Lisa. Hi.
it's like a blank mask, isn't it? It looks like it's certainly staring at Katie anyway, which is quite disturbing, isn't it?
Did you have a Wayne's guard or something in that room?
What's that?
A Wayne's guard, like something came up part of the wall in the back room? Because when I'm looking at it now,
I can't remember.
It looks like the white area is just where.
I think that was a chest of drawers at the back. I think that was.
Yeah, I can see the line where you're thinking it's the lips. To me, it looks like it's something on the wall, almost just like it's just not as dark because light's broken through. But that's just me saying. So I don't know. It's definitely a creepy one.
And like I said, these are, well, it looks like a picture back here.
But when you're saying the lips for a mouth or something, it looks like that goes down the whole wall.
It looks like somebody hunched, doesn't it?
Well, to me it does, yeah. Let me get it.
And I think I told you, was it like one of the previous podcasts, that, you know, once we heard Katie crying on the what do you call them? Things
Baby
for
monitor?
Yeah, baby monitor. She was crying, and we went in, but we couldn't get in her room because everything was pushed against the door. And she was just in a cot. She was just young. Strange house. Very strange house.
Hi, Lisa. Yeah, Lisa took the photo.
Yeah.
She's saying no, and I think that's the one I carry. So back behind whatever is there is a picture. Yeah, picture of
A
Ben.
picture of Ben.
Picture of Ben. Okay.
So, well, I'm glad she's on here. Explain. So let me.
I'm useless.
You're well.
My memory's shot. what I could do is there's also another picture which I found in the kind of the set where there's a shadow coming in, a bit like what we showed last week. I'll try to find it and then send you it.
So this is more, so what this filter is, it smooths out all the hard edges, is what this one does. So it tries to, it blankets, what it does is smooths out the whole picture, everything in the picture. Yeah, I think it's one of the most fascinating photos. And what makes it really fascinating is because I personally know who took it. And that's what makes it really, really intriguing to me. Um, and because I know this was not faked. So, like Carrie's been pointing out, this is either 100% something paranormal or it's a misinterpretation of the background. I mean, it's one of those two things. And I think you guys might have caught something that really isn't caught that much.
I'm sure we'll have more photographs, Cordell, of the background, just showing showing what it looks like normally. I'm sure we have.
So again, Carrie, what's your thoughts on this?
It's a creepy picture. I trust, the people who took it 100%, but I don't know. Every time I'm seeing it now, I'm kind of seeing different things. So, but it is definitely a creepy one. I guarantee if you would post that and show it, people would be like, it's a banshee or something.
Yeah, well, let's see what Lisa has to say here.
Yeah, the bed was just you would have been able to see the bed. It's only the headboard.
Well, again, and here's my take on it. It does look like somebody slightly hunched over. It looks like hair, not a hood. I can see two eyes, the jawline. It seems to be really short, under 5 feet, which, why, guys, I don't know. For me, that the shorter it is, the creepier I think it looks for some reason. And it's interesting because you can measure the height by the wall pattern, the chair, and the door, and the door latch, the latch in the door there, and the table. Right? I mean, the kitchen table is not very tall. I'm sure it's just a little over, probably around 40 inches, maybe, if that. But anyway, I think this is a great photo. I really do. I think it's fascinating. Let me go back one. Yeah, I think that one right there probably shows it, highlights it the best. So, oh crap, you can't even see it when it's that small.
Poor Katie.
Yeah, well,
It's like the werewolf hair all over her face.
I think that's the cleanest it looks anyway. I think anyway. All right, so final thoughts on this. I think this is fantastic, and this is something that Dave has kept a secret and hasn't. Again, this is 10-year-old photograph, right, Dave?
Yeah.
And Dave showed it to me when he discovered it, but he said, no, don't show it to anybody. This is my house and everything, and family. And so we never did. This is the first time this is being shown. And yeah. So, Carrie, final thoughts on this one?
Unknown. It's creepy. Unknown. I don't know.
Dave?
Yeah, it's just unknown, isn't it? We'd stopped investigating. We'd been investigating up in the that lodge. We've been investigating that for about 2 years prior. You know, can you bring stuff home with you? I don't know. That's a previous podcast, isn't it?
Yep.
But yeah, it just looks, it's unknown. It just does look creepy the more you look at it. And it's interesting that we didn't find it until we'd left. I mean, imagine finding that and you're actually staying there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really, really good point, Dave, because there is some security in finding it and showing everybody after you've moved out, right? So yeah, I
Yeah, I
agree
mean,
with you there.
yeah. I think how many photographs do people take? You know, we used to take photos all the time, and you never really look at them later. You know what I mean? Really, you just save them for for posterity or whatever. Yeah, I wonder how many people have got photographs just like this. You know?
Well, and
Now,
that's
what would
just
have been
it. Go ahead.
creepy if every time you took a photo, that thing showed up?
Yeah.
That would be creepy. That would be creepy. Yeah, that would be creepy. That every 10th or 20th photo, this would show up underneath the table, crawling out from under your bed,
Show up at investigations.
peeking out of your closet. Yeah, that would just be creepy. In the back seat of your car as you're driving, yeah, that would be creepy. No, I'm fascinated with that photo. I periodically look at it because I think it's one of the best photos I've ever seen of just, and the thing is, I have no idea what it is. At first I thought it was hooded, being Scotland, and the location, it's an ancient location. I mean, it goes back human habitation thousands of years, and so um, um, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Tom.
Carrie, yeah, sorry, Lisa.
Oh, sorry, Lisa.
Excuse me, I didn't mean Lisa. You're 100%
It's
safe.
the
There's
tooth
nothing there.
fairy.
Huh?
It's the tooth fairy.
Yeah, it's the tooth fairy. That's it.
I'm just thinking. Hopefully these things can't follow you over water, but we're actually back in that area now, so maybe it's just been waiting around for us.
Well, as I was talking, Dave, I forgot in my head that you guys are living there again.
That's right.
And I shouldn't be laughing, should I? But yeah, you're right.
I think it's interesting, because if some of the things that happened there, and then if you like Lisa and Ben used to have somebody kind of stroking their hair and things like that. Imagine if it was that thing. Oh.
Well, see, but here's the interesting, guys. Let me just throw this out before we move on to the next Pulse picture, which is not necessarily creepy. It's just damn ass weird, this next photo. But it's interesting how we perceive, it's like using the term creepy. When people see that photo, they go, oh, that looks creepy. And it does, but does that mean it's bad? I mean, just because we perceive it because it's dark, hunched over, looks like it's got
It's
a
ugly
pale,
looking.
yeah, pale face, and it seems to be like, in a doorway, kind of staring. And so everybody just goes immediately, oh, that's bad, that's creepy, not good. What's your thoughts on that, Dave?
Yeah, I think it's because it hasn't got any you can't see any face. It's just you got a flat face, and I think you automatically look for things you can associate and relate to. And if something hasn't got a face, then you automatically think it's creepy as heck.
Yeah, and I want to shout out to Lisa. Yes, you are correct, Lisa, but it's the fleshies that are scary here. So, Carrie, what's your thoughts on how one
I
perceives, because it's might be dressed in black with a pale white face, and so people automatically go, "Oh, that's scary and that's creepy." And
yeah, and I think that happens a lot. You see something, it's dark, it's not a pleasant sight, and your brain goes to, oh, it's definitely dark, it's bad, it's evil, or no, I'm not saying that's what Dave and Lisa have said, but that's what people would probably go with this type of picture. But it also could be Aunt Lulu bringing in flowers, and she just wasn't a very attractive lady. So, but you do, people associate with things that are creepy looking and all that always kind of is. It's scary, it's bad or whatever, but we don't really know that for a fact.
True. And Lisa, most likely it was Dave's guardian angel. That's who it was. And so it's really not scary or creepy at all. She's just
Hey, honestly, I mean, Cordell, if you want to put that picture of that old man staring at me when I was sleeping in Virginia
scary.
City, that's creepy.
That's scary.
that was a strange apparition, and don't know who that was either. I don't know who entered
Just
your
watching
room.
us sleep. Yeah.
I don't know. And you went to bed fully clothed and woke up naked. I don't know what was going on.
I know.
There.
It's
really
crazy that crazy location.
And I'm just glad we had CCTV to verify that a stranger did break into your bedroom that night. That was weird.
Yeah, I saw them drinking coffee.
Yeah, we never did find out who that was. Okay. I should have showed that one, by the way.
Yeah, that was quite.
It was a little creepy. Yeah, it's creepy. Anyway, so here's the next photo, and again, this is a pulse photo. I took it. It was in Utah, and I have no friggin' idea, guys, what this is. I'm dumbfounded by this photo. What does Bob say?
Oh man.
Oh jeez. Thanks, Bob. And shout out, yeah, please post anything you want in the chat. I try to get them up on screen. In between me talking, I'll post them up on the screen. But yes, please post. And thanks, Bob. Okay, here's the next photo. This is the most bizarre photo, not because I took it, but the most bizarre photo I've ever seen, guys. And it honestly is just bizarre. This was 4 years ago. And I can say this is Jeremy Ranch up by Park City. I don't even know where to begin with this, guys.
Well, it's got a bit of a backstory. Do you not want to explain why you took it? Huh?
Yeah, I will. Here's what I'll do. Let me make it full screen like we did the other ones. Oh. So, okay, here's the backstory. So, about 3 months earlier, this is in January. So, in November of 2016, I was at Dave's house, and it was probably about 10 at night. I was leaving. I had to work in the morning. And my car was parked roughly where it is now in his driveway. I leave, and as I'm walking towards my car, there's a cat call that comes, a whistling, clear as day, very loud, right over here by the corner of the garage. And I stopped and I said hello. Didn't see or hear anybody. I actually went to the corner. Nobody was there. I actually walked all the way around Dave's house. Couldn't find anybody. And I just realized, I hope it's okay that I mentioned that it was your house, Dave.
Yeah.
So that's the backstory. And it bugged me because it was clear as day. It was like a construction worker's cat call, like, "Hey, you." And it was clear and loud, came from the corner of that garage right there. So 3 months later, when I was there, I told Dave and Lisa, I'm going to go out and take some photos. main purpose was to take photos by the corner of this garage. I wanted to take photos all the way around to the side, but as you can see, I just want to point out to those that don't live in this is all snow. This is a snowbank right here. And this was taken with a full spectrum camera, or what they quote unquote call a full spectrum camera. Um, anyway, I took a whole series of them, a bunch of them, all over just to see if I could capture anything. And it was really cold out. I had a light jacket on. I was out there for about 12 minutes taking photos, got cold, went back in, never looked at them. And this is what you were saying on the earlier photo, Dave. I didn't look at them, thought, well, I'll look at them when I get home or the next day. Anyway, this is what showed up. Dave, thoughts, opinions?
I think, did I not come around to yours? Because I was leaving the US, and while I kind of downloading, like sharing loads of photographs and things, and did we not find it then? You know, so you hadn't even seen it really, you know, until that point. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at. I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you came over. We were going through.
That's right. Yeah.
And I hadn't even looked at these photos yet because I had like 80 of them. I
Yeah.
had photos of the house inside. I had photos outside. I had like 80 plus photos. Hadn't looked at them, so we started going through them, and that's what showed up on one of them. And we were like, "What the hell is that?"
And it's interesting because it was obviously my birthday, and I know we'd been on the 14th of that month. Something started happening in the house, which kind of lasted for a period of time.
Yeah.
That this photograph was taken at the same time as we were kind of investigating our own house, you know.
And I do want to acknowledge what Bob said, so I'm going to zoom in. It's really pixelated, but
I think is it easier, Cordell, if you look at the negative.
yes, which I will bring up here in just a second.
I think that you can see like a reflection in the window.
But I also wanted to zoom in because this is really weird.
It's like a space traveler, isn't it?
Well, and again, here's the roof of my car up here. Let me zoom out a little bit because it's so pixelated. So here's the roof. This thing is about as tall as the roof of my car, which is really short, guys. I mean, this is the rear view mirror, comes to almost the neck, basically. And I have to admit, if you look at this, it looks like it's almost a mask, which is really weird. It looks like a face covering. Some people say they see goggles. I don't necessarily see goggles. Where did Carrie go? Hopefully she's okay. So again, weirdest photo. I've often, and Dave, I've told you since Carrie isn't here, but did we capture a fourth dimensional creature that's the way they look to us in 3 dimensions? Because we're 3-dimensional space. So
Hey, you know what? If you think of it, you know it does. I mean, it does loads of things. Your mind wanders, doesn't it? Your mind wanders to, you know, are these things just watching us all the time? Are they hiding out in just a different frequency? Yeah, I mean, Aiden, that was a daughter's imaginary friend, who me and Cornel recorded at a separate event. Right, I think you can see in the mirror, can't you? Like just somewhat different. By the window. It's just bizarre. It's an absolutely bizarre photograph. Looks like a little alien face, doesn't it? It's just creepy. Yeah, I mean, could have been a child. Just looks like such a big head. Could have been an alien grey Cordell, just hiding out there watching her.
Um, I I don't know. It's like it's got a jacket on. This looks almost like a face covering what's over its head. It's got either that. I mean, it's just weird. It's like the face is shaking. Um, I Yeah, I don't know. Is this the actual face in the mirror or in the window?
I've got no idea.
But if you look at it, I mean, see, look, it's got like a coat. It's got like legs, no discernible hands, but it looks like that's the arm. Um, it's very, very short, whatever it is. Um, yeah, I was out there by my self at this point. I was by myself. I never saw anything, guys. Never saw a thing. Um, I have no idea what's your honest opinion about this one, Dave?
You know what? I have got no idea. My honest opinion is that it's something hiding out at a different frequency, and these things might be all over for all we know. You know, hey, I mean, you know, your imagination runs riot. Could it be visitors from the future? You know, coming back in the past there, or
Well,
could it's just a games master and this is all a simulation? I just do not know.
let me ask you this: does this look frightening or just weird?
Looks weird. I mean, that house in particular, we could write a book on the things that occurred in that house.
Huh. Yeah, because to me, it doesn't look creepy or anything. It looks just friggin' bizarre. I don't have any idea.
I mean, it's interesting. It's facing the house and the front door area. I mean, I was inside the house. You were outside because it was cold.
Yeah.
I'm a soft shit, but I don't know. I think you were outside taking photographs.
Yep. Yeah, well, you can see the date. It's January 16th.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's the middle of winter. There's literally this snowbank. If you look at the snowbank's taller than this thing. I mean, I don't know what this is. Um, let's see what Bob says. I think they have traveled from another time in the car, and they shouted on. Oh, I see what Bob's saying. So here's Bob's backstory on this. That
Something in
this
the
one
car.
right here is this one's a separate alien that's in my car and can't even though is much smarter than us, can't get out of the car, so his friend showed up to get him out of the car.
I suppose the question, Cordell, did you feel any different when you were driving back? Like, was there
No,
anything in the passenger seat with you?
no, no, I didn't hear scurrying around or anything, and
Actually, this wasn't at the time when something was crawling into the bed.
no,
Oh,
no,
okay, just
no,
checking.
no, that's a different story.
Just checking. Hey, I know what. No, I think it's my gut feel is that it's probably more futuristic. You know.
Well, and that's what I keep wondering. I was like, did we, because the concept of a four-dimensional creature, they would be able to see everything in three dimensions. But if we viewed a fourth dimensional world, we wouldn't make
Yeah.
sense of it. It would
Yeah,
look
we could.
all weird, and because we can't see the fourth dimension,
Yeah, we just couldn't
we'd only,
comprehend.
yeah, we'd only be able to see three dimensions. And is this what we captured? Was something that is not three dimensional? I don't know. It's weird. It's weird.
But, well, hey, I mean, yeah, but I suppose you could ask the question, why us and why that house? You know, it's like if you you know if you do think of we'll say a kind of I know you're a big UFO fan, Cordell, and if the technologies can travel at those speeds and what have you, then how come? I'm sure what that is. Is that Carrie's computer phone? Or,
I don't know. Oh,
aye.
Carrie? Carrie? You there, Carrie?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. You're okay?
Yeah, I just had to take some medication.
Oh,
So
Okay.
okay. Because
I didn't want to do it on a camp. So
anyway, so yeah, it's just a weird thing. And so one last question since Carrie's back with us. So, Dave, how would you classify this photo if, and I repeat, so here's the criteria for you to answer this. This is going to go for Carrie too. Um, do you think this is paranormal or not? Yes or no?
If you hadn't have taken this, and I had seen this on the web, it's a fake, right? Why would anybody take a photograph kind of in that direction? The photo, there's nothing in the photo really. You know what I mean? There's no reason to take a photograph.
Right.
Because you took it, and I do trust you. For me, it is unknown. It's well, I suppose you could call it paranormal because it's not normal.
True.
Yeah, it's just unknown. It's really interesting, and I just don't know what the heck it is. If it hadn't been you taking this, I would have said it was fake.
Carrie, what's your opinion on it?
it's
Paranormal, unknown.
unknown.
Okay, one last question. This is just for my own curiosity. So now you'll have to suspend belief here for a minute, guys. So let's pretend that's 100% really paranormal, that photo. 100% paranormal. Do you think it's a ghost or do you think it possibly is something else, Dave? Yes. What do you think, real quick?
I think it's something else.
Okay, Carrie, what's your thoughts? Something else or?
Really, no idea.
Okay, I don't either, guys.
Never seen an alien, never. So I don't know.
And yeah, I it doesn't look. I don't get a creepy feeling or anything. I just get this like, what the hell is that? And I still, every time I look at it, guys, I just go, what the hell is that? I don't know. Now, because we're running out of time, Dave's got only about 20 more minutes. We're going to go into some classic photos that have been around for decades and decades and decades. And I got to share the screen because we thought this would be kind of fun. Because we sit here and it's easy for us to evaluate our own photos, right? We can say, I know there was nobody in that room. And Carrie can say, yeah, I was by myself when I took that. And we tried to debunk it and we couldn't duplicate it. It's easy for us to do all that. But here's photos that are been shared worldwide, not only on the internet, but before the internet in books. A lot of these photos were used in books to say, yeah, ghosts are real. And probably everybody has seen them. And I don't think there's any copyright on any of these because they're so old. I don't think they are. They've been used in everywhere. Here's the classic.
The brown lady.
Yeah, this is the one that's been in book after book, and everybody swears it's real and proves the brown lady. What's your thoughts, guys? We'll start with Dave. What's your thoughts on this classic ghost photo?
It's interesting because the backstory to this is that they actually saw something. So that's Rainham Hall in Norfolk. This was in the 19. This was in a it was like a Country Life magazine. I think that's the. It was some photographers from Country Life who were doing a scene on Raynham Hall, I think, an article, and one of them saw something walking down the stairs, so the other one took the photograph. That's what they claim. To me, I think it's just the interest. It's probably very dusty. You might have sunshine through a window. I think it's just caught. It's caught it at the right moment to make it look like a figure. But I don't think it's a figure.
Hey, Carrie, what's your thoughts?
Growing up, you always love looking at this picture because you want it to be, but there's also that factor to it. But digging last night, there's a photographer who was able to duplicate this picture and several others, so it's not paranormal. Not saying there's not paranormal things there, but this photo, it's not a true photo.
And an interesting fact as well, right, is that the brown lady is seen at this location kind of middle-aged, and in another location she's seen younger. So I don't know what that means.
Why they're calling it the brown lady?
I'm not sure if these things, are these things just replaying, or why they should appear older at one house and younger at another house. It's interesting.
Yeah, and my opinion of this one, just to be fair, I've always thought it was a fake one because it looks like some camera trickery, and it looks like somebody with a sheet. If you zoom in on it, which I did a little bit, it looks like actually a sheet over somebody. I don't understand if this is an actual apparition. Why would it be wearing a bed sheet? Because honestly, that's what I see. I see a bed sheet, it with eyes with holes cut. Now, there's a backstory. The photographer who took it, he was documenting the house, I believe.
Yeah.
And he supposedly doesn't have anything to do with the paranormal, didn't believe in all that, and was taking photos to document the architecture of the house inside is what I believe the backstory is. All right. Well, those out in the audience, tell us your thoughts. I mean, again, go ahead.
I posted a link in Paranormal Pulse that talks about these pictures and how they were duplicated.
Well, let me rephrase that. How one can duplicate them.
Yeah, but they're not.
And I do want to make the point,
real photos.
And this is the one point I do want to make, is because you can replicate something doesn't mean the original's fake. It just means one can replicate it. Therefore, it is doable that somebody could have faked it. Now, some of these to me, are quite obviously fakes, in my opinion. So, Dave, I think, is this Canterbury or is this what's the church?
I can't remember, mate. But it is in the UK, and that's the thing that was in our bedroom.
So it looks pretty close.
It's not the same height.
He seems to have a melting face, or got a snot and drooling problem. I don't know what. The only thing that I think's intriguing at all is, see how the shadow goes down the steps, the black. That's the only thing I find interesting. Let's see if we got any. Carrie, what's your thoughts on this?
It's not a real apparition. It's faked or whatever. It looks totally faked. I mean, that's not one I ever looked at and thought that was anything real.
Yeah, it is bizarre. It's I've always thought this was fake, but the problem is there's whole myths and stories, guys, that have developed around these photos over the years and decades. I think this is supposed to go back to the 30s. I think this photo in the 1930s. So there's all these stories that have basically miss. And part of all these stories, the backstories is, oh, the photographer, blah, blah, blah. I've never actually seen live quotes from any of these photographers. There's always the story. Anyway,
But I
go
think,
ahead.
Cordell, at the time there was, there was a lot of people, there was a lot of interest in this. And I think there was a lot of bias, where people did want to justify there was different groups set up, like the Ghost Club of London, set up in 1862, the SPR from Cambridge, 1882. I mean, there was a lot of groups which wanted to justify, which my view is that they just wanted to justify, the efforts and time spent in this phenomenon. And I think so. There's a lot of support being put around these older photographs. But yeah, it's, to me, that last one was a fake.
What about this one, Dave?
Lord was it Cumbermere? It was like in the 1890s. A bit of backstory for that one is he was dead. Obviously, he was at his funeral. There was a funeral being held 5 miles away, as the story goes, and the Abbey, Cumbermere Abbey, was being rented, and the sister of the lady who rented it, while all the staff were at the funeral, decided to take that's a much bigger photograph. This is just a small part of it, and the photograph is of the library. The library at Cumbermere Abbey apparently was quite wondrous. That's what the term was they used, and she set up a camera over an hour. So you've got a camera for over an hour, and therefore there was a lot of thoughts. Well, could someone have come in, sat in a chair, and then left? And you only get certain, kind of snippets of that, while it's exposing over this hour period. So yeah, that was Lord Cumbermere, and apparently his children said, "Yep, that's a likeness of him." But yeah, it's never been proven or disproven.
Okay, Carrie, what's your thoughts on this?
The picture where you asked, it was Canterbury or whatever it was, and it was Newby Church.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So, I'd never seen this photo before until it just doesn't look true to me. I can't explain why it just doesn't. And then after seeing how it can be duplicated, but going to photos, going back with the whole spiritualism and stuff like that, I find looking at photos like these very hard to believe in. Not saying there isn't paranormal stuff. I just find it very hard to believe in these.
I think if you look at the chair, is his body not too far down? I mean, would his if
his body doesn't fit the chair.
Yeah, like if his bottom and legs were sitting on there, should they not be higher up?
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you were to, like, here's his shoulder. If you look at his torso, his butt would be below the cushion.
Yeah. That's what.
Now, having said that, I think, and so looking at this in the skeptical way, here's what I'd say. This is a long exposure. The Lord actually was still alive. He actually was sitting there and got up during the exposure. They went ahead processing this. They thought it was cool, the story then. And he might have died a month or two after this photo. If that's truly him, right? People say, yeah, there's paintings and other photos of him and it matches him, but
yeah.
Who really knows, right? And the other thing is, one of the claims is, well, there's flowers and you can see a cross, and on this chair over here there's stuff, and they say, oh, that's because he had died, and people, so they had his library decorated for his death, because I guess his body, the story I heard, Dave, his body was there for a while,
Right.
and so people would bring offerings, and the family put up portraits and flowers and candles and stuff like that. And then the day of his funeral, that's why and I'm kind of answering Bob's question. He goes, why would they have taken a photo of this? That's the backstory I heard, is that the staff they were actually asked to take a photo to document all the wonderful things that were there because of his death, all the gifts and flowers and all that. And then this shows up. Now, here's the problem, guys. Will we ever know? Is that really the true story? I don't think we'll ever know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's move on. Now, this one, I'm going to just say flat out right now, this one is fake. Um, and the guy that actually took it actually apparently admitted it to being fake, that he wanted to produce this. He wanted to produce a ghost because he loved the stairs and the atmosphere and wanted to produce a ghost. But this is a famous photo that is made, it circulates in books and everything else, claiming that there's actually two ghosts here in this photo. If you see a hand right here, there's actually supposed to be a ghost here, and you see a ghost here. Um, we'll start with Carrie on this one. Carrie, what's your thoughts?
Looking at it, it looks like a hot mess. Just, I wouldn't believe it. It just doesn't definitely looks like somebody hunched over there. But I just find it very hard to look at a photo like that and say it's anything.
Dave, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it was taken by a reverend. It's a bit like the surgeon's photograph with Loch Ness. It was taken by a reverend at what the hell's it called? Queen's House in Greenwich, London.
Okay.
And and this is called the Tulip Staircase. Apparently, he liked staircases. This retired reverend, he was Canadian, and him and his wife he took the photograph, went back across there, got it developed, and tried to pass it off. I think it's just too good to be true. It's a bit like the Patterson Gimlin film for ghosts.
Yeah. Well, in far as composition, and as just a generic photo, I really like it. I think it's kind of would be a great part of a horror movie or something. But I kind of agree with you guys. And from what I read, that later on in life, he admitted that he faked it and didn't intend it to be taken as real spirits. But I don't know.
It's interesting because this photograph, really it was on the cover of a book when I was just starting off as a kid, and that's what kind of attracted us to this whole thing. That picture.
Well, like I said, composition wise, I really like the photo. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll just say this: if it was fake, they did a pretty good job. I mean, it probably it would fool a lot of people. And
1960s. That's
yeah.
that was 1966 ish.
Okay, so I picked this photo to show real quick, just to get out of the older ones. This is a newer one. Isn't that new, actually? Um, but this one made the rounds on the internet right here. Creepy girl in between, you know. So, okay. So, Carrie, what's your thoughts on this one?
It's just totally fake. It's, unfortunately, once the apps started coming out and being able to manipulate pictures, everybody jumped on the bandwagon. And it's just, I don't even like looking at photos like this because I just can't take them serious.
Dave, what's your thoughts on this?
I think if you, in terms of scale, is that like a tiny head, or is it on
Supposed to
scale
be a
with other
kid.
heads? Is it?
It's supposed to be a kid, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, looking at a picture like this versus one that Dave has at his house, there's just no comparison.
True.
Yeah. I think it's it does look fake.
Well, I had to show this one just because this kind of demonstrates what's out on the internet. There is thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. Okay, now we're going back to a classic. And guys, this is my personal favorite. Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This is my
But
personal favorite.
it's been debunked.
Right here. So you can barely make it out in the regular photo. And the reason I like this one is because it's got a great story, right? Because
That's a tragic story.
right, it's a great story. It captivates people, and here's their shipmate or sorry, military bud, and he dies. They take a photo of everybody, and he's still there. I mean, it's a great story, right? It makes
Yeah,
everybody
but
go.
it's not an actual photo.
Everybody goes, but this is very popular. I've seen this one. I can't tell you how many times on it. So many
No,
countless.
because it's tragic. He was chopped up by a propeller.
Right. And
But the picture is not a true picture.
and so that's why this one's my favorite, because I think the backstory, it's just perfect. It matches up. And if you're gonna have a ghost show up in your photos, the backstory's perfect. It's like it's because he wants to be with his mates, and he's still part of the squadron and team and everything. It's hurrah. Oh, and and you're going, oh, and the guys, when they realize he was still in the photo, it must have made them all cry, like, oh, our friend's still there.
It creates
That's
an
a great,
emotion.
right. It's a great story. And that's what, and I guess my point is, that's why I like this photo, is because the story makes you want to believe it, because it is emotional. There's not some stupid story about, this angry person that haunts the lighthouse because her heart was broken because the guy ran off with the maid. I mean, that doesn't conjure up. This does, though. This is like, oh man, how horrible, tragic. Okay, Dave, take it away. What's your opinion on this? We got like 3 minutes.
What's that behind? Is it windows? Could it be somebody looking out of a window, or
No, it's I think it's the
Door.
hanger. The hanger.
Hanger door. Yeah.
Is it? Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's fake, to be honest.
Okay.
It may have been a morale builder,
The what?
Somebody may have asked for it to be done. Like is that kind of that crewmate, or
Yeah.
Yeah, he died a couple of days before.
Yeah.
I don't think people. I don't know. Just because I'm saying they're fake doesn't mean that there's not things going on.
Yeah.
Or like a picture like this, if it's a double exposure or whatever, and they see this, and to them it's real. But the ones with the apps that they're throwing kids in, or the little girl in white, and all the videos, I mean, that intentionally is trying to fool people. Some of these, I don't think they're not intentional to trick people.
And here's the last thing I'll say about this photo is that if somebody said, okay, every photo you just looked at, they're all fake but one. And I'm talking the old ones that we have just spent 20 minutes looking at. My vote would be this would be the one that would be
Would
real
be
out of
real.
all the other ones. Because the other ones were all kind of cheesy and you could tell they were designed to, like the church one, it looks scary. It's supposed to be like,
Yeah.
um, let me get rid of this.
This
So
is
go ahead, Carrie.
no, I mean this one is a true gut wrenching backstory. I would believe that one too.
Yeah. I zoomed in for you, Bob. I hope you were watching. I did. I try to do everything. You tell me what to do in the chat, and I will do it. Doesn't matter what it is, either, guys. I'll do it. So Dave has to run. We're already 1 minute over. So I just wanted real quick, just a summary from you two, and then we'll say goodnight because Dave's got to go to work or travel or something. Um, Carrie, what's your final summary on photos in general?
Photos
Go.
in general, we take, I think some of them are unknown. I think there's photos out there that people capture, like Dave's and all that. And we know Dave at that. There's something there. But again, we don't know. Those who are faking photos and making what's in the photo look scary or stuff like that. But I think photos are taken and there's things that can't be explained. But with time can be explained. If you go back and retest it, try to run it through, debunk it, find out it could be a light or something like that. So it just takes time.
Okay, Dave, quick summary.
I think it gets back to what we started with. All the photographs that we took and reviewed, we called them unknown. Everything we reviewed on the net was fake. So I think if we put our photographs on the net, people would say they were fake. I just don't think photographs really sell it. Because there's so much trickery and people with different motives out there who fake these things.
Right.
We saw a team faking in front of us.
Yep.
They were faking pictures and presenting it right then and there. So the worded perfectly, Dave. Worded perfectly.
Right.
And my thoughts, real quick, I agree with both of you. And I think keep taking, if you're in a paranormal group, keep taking photos, but use those photos within your group in the context of the investigation. And by themselves, a photo will never prove anything. But when the context of a paranormal group and a location and investigations, they can be critical and they can apply or add a lot of credence and evidence to a particular investigation. But yeah,
it's a great way to learn to debunk, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah. And I think they're critical, and I love photos and I love looking at them. I could do 3 or 4 more shows on photos. And I know Dave's got to run, and so we're going to say goodbye, but please, if you don't subscribe, click the subscribe button. It helps us. Click the like button. We appreciate it. And I want to thank Lisa and Bob for commenting. And thank you, Lisa and Dave, for sharing a couple photos that are more personal to you guys. I know that that's a hard decision, but thank you very much. And anyway, we're going to say goodnight. And I'm going to say goodnight right now. Then I'm going to let Carrie and Dave say goodnight. Good night, guys. We'll see you next Sunday with another fascinating, fantastic topic. And with my colleagues here, thank you so much. And good night. Go ahead, guys.
Hey, Dave, be safe. Please be safe traveling. Lisa, Bob, Dave, love you guys. See you next Sunday. Be safe.
Yeah, I'll see everybody next Sunday. You guys take care.